Hi guys, it's your average dorm reader. Today I want to talk about romance book tropes I enjoy and why I enjoy them. Kind of my mental reasoning for why they're my go-to. Number one is the he fell first and harder. I just love when a man loves and is so upfront about it. There's something so really attractive about this. I like when he risks his health and she has to nurse him back to health, especially if it's in connection to like enemies to lovers and like they're enemies, but then they start to lean on each other. I feel like it's a really good type of forced proximity. Next is enemies to lovers, specifically in a fantastical setting. I'm more inclined to fantasy romance just because there's something more whimsical about it. I feel like contemporary is more realistic. I mean, not it's still fictional, but it's more realistic than fantastical. So I like to read fantasy because it's easier to get caught up in the world. But I feel like enemies to lovers only works in a fantastical setting. Like it is a good go-to of mine. Most of the books I read are enemies to lovers. If it's enemies to lover in a contemporary setting, in my mind, I'm thinking, how do you fall in love with someone you felt comfortable enough calling your enemy? What's that song? We are enemies. We are both. I've never called anyone in my life an enemy. The day I call someone an enemy, I couldn't fathom a romantic interest in them after that. By the way, speaking on enemies to lovers, as much as I love the trope, I need fantasy romance to start branching out again without using that trope. Like branch out to more tropes. There are so many good tropes out there. Authors are so dependent on having it now that most books, especially in the fantastical world, are enemies to lovers. And although I enjoy it, it makes the books I read seem the same because they're all adhering to this enemies to lovers kind of formula. Next trope I enjoy is rivals to lovers in a contemporary setting. I think rivals to lovers makes more sense than enemies to lovers in a contemporary setting because like, I could see being a rival and then something growing from that. Because me personally, I think ragging can be a form of affection if it's done without malicious intent. I don't mean like low blows or being rude. I just mean like when you like kind of go head to head with someone and you kind of argue as a form of banter. I feel like that some attraction can grow there. Maybe some heat things. Maybe it might be too TMI. I eat up opposites attract, especially in connection to grumpy sunshine or like shy guy, bold girl. Literally any and every iteration of opposites attract, I love because I like this thought that your opposite complements you and you're able to kind of push each other to do and try new things because y'all are different. And there's nothing wrong with having someone you're with and it being similar, but I just feel like having similarities but then being so different is really fun. A very, very, very specific trope that I eat up every time is when the guy is like super shy and the girl is like super bubbly or bold, and then the roles reversed, like behind closed doors. I don't know if this is considered under the branch of like femdom. For those who don't know, that's like short term for female domination. I've again too much information, but I love good femdom books because I really like when women are empowered in romance books. Like they know what they want, they're in charge, they go for what they want, they are attuned to their sexual power and nature and stuff like that. So it's just authors note to y'all, write more femdom stuff, you know? Like I get like wanting romances where the guy takes charge and the girl is like, oh, like I get that and I get why that feeds something for a lot of people. But me, I'm like, give me more femdom stuff. Next trope is kind of in connection to like femdom, but this is more female fatale. I love books where a woman knows, is willing, able, and ready to a man. And I don't mean violent, like promote violence against men on this channel. Like that's not my intention. But there's something about a female character that's like, try it, straight up try it, see what happens. And so femme fatale really, I just eat it up, especially if the female MC is an assassin. Going back again to my love of fantastical books, like fantastical plus femme fatale plus the assassin trope plus works proximity plus enemies to lovers is my golden ratio of books. Like that book is the perfect book to me. All the books that I've read that are like that, if they're written properly and have good character development and all that stuff, are usually books that I give 4 out of 5. I'm gonna typically give books 5 out of 5 because that means this is the best book I've ever read in my life. And I think all books could improve in their areas that they could improve. Like I have this Google Drive dedicated to writing out things I like, dislike, the tropes in it, and what I think is gonna happen in the book. And so because I'm like that, especially with reading, it's hard for me to find a book where I'm like, I loved absolutely everything about it. I think there's only one book, 2 books I've given the 5 out of 5 stars to. If y'all want to know, comment down below and I'll let y'all know. Next trope I like is in a fantastical setting where he gives up his crown or he gives her his crown. I just like when the male love interest realizes he's got a baddie, he's got that girl, and he's like, I've been vested by her, or I believe she's better than me in this position of power. And or they're in a situation where his position is put into dire because of her, and he's like, yeah, I'd rather be with her than have this position, or she is the ultimate final boss, so she deserves this crown. I like fantasy where the villainous MC, female MC, turns her love interest onto her side, or the switch of that where it's like the villainous male love interest turns the female MC onto his side. Like either versions of that are so good because usually he's not really the villain. It's just the way the world is built that he's portrayed as the villain. And when he brings her onto the side, she realizes, yeah, like she's that girl, like she ends up finding powers and stuff like that. I eat it up every time. I wish there were more books where the woman is like this femme fatale who's seen as the villainess and she turns a love interest on her side. I haven't found any books like this. I've been trying to find books like this. Bonus points if the female MC is black. There's something really specific about that I really want to see a black MC in. But if you guys have any books like that or you've seen books like that, please let me know. Like I'm being so serious. Like I have not read a book with this trope, but this is just a trope that I would think would eat down so badly. Like this would be a book that I would sit all day reading and couldn't get anything done until I finish this book and every book that comes within the series. And now that I'm really thinking about it, I also like when the male love interest is a morally gray character who's willing to do anything for his love. Like give me that. I want more of that. Next trope I like when the female MC has these repressed powers or she learns about her power and decides to go full out. Like she's just crazy powerful. and everyone starts to learn about it, especially if she starts a story feeling powerless and then by the end she gains all the power, but she's still a good person because her being powerless in the beginning helped to build her character into something really nice. And usually I see this trope in connection with like goddess reincarnate, and I like the goddess reincarnate stuff because a lot of times in fantasy, there's this age gap thing where it's like she's freshly 18 human years and he's been alive 18 million billion jillion human years, and they just work. So when they incorporate goddess incarnate and she's not like a fresh 18-year-old, she's like someone who's lived but like being reincarnated, it feels a little less icky to me. Like I know like age gap in fantasy romance to me isn't like the worst thing ever because it's fantastical, so it's a little bit more removed than age gap in contemporary. But I just hate when it's like, yeah, she's been around so little years, he's been around so many years, and they get together. I like when it's like, yeah, no, it turns out she's been around as long, if not longer, than he's been around. After that, I love fated mates that isn't insta romance. Not even like insta attraction. Yes, fated mates, insta attraction is good, but I feel like fated mates, insta attraction is kind of boring because you're like, okay, they've gotten together, they're instantly attracted. So it's not like much that could break up their story to me personally, unless there's like a third thing added to, like where there's like a mystery going around where they meet each other, they're into each other, and then a third thing happens, and they're kind of going through the story of that. That's what makes it interesting. But like fated mates, that's insta attraction, just it's too like I think those are good for short stories. Sometimes I see those examples and they're not drawn out enough. Like at least have like build up the romance till the end of the book. Like have them have romantic tension filled interactions throughout the entirety of the book, and at the end of the first book, at least have them get together. Because I feel like with instant attraction, it's like first chapter, first book, first word, seeing them, they're together, end of story. So I prefer fated mates that isn't instant attraction, where they don't realize yet that they're mates and they are in this like forced proximity setting. And throughout the book, they have these interactions where their attraction and love grow for each other. And then at the end, they find out they're fated mates. I feel like that works better. It gives you more of a story that you can get involved in and kind of see the growth of their love for each other, and understand why they're so gung-ho about each other. Because usually when it's fated mates, instant attraction, like you, besides them being fated mates, there's no real build up to the relationship with them. I think a lot of what makes a really good romance is the ability to build tension and the ability to build attraction, and for the readers who are reading it to understand and absorb. Next trope I enjoy, forced proximity, non-contemporary. No, actually, no, I take that back. I like forced proximity in both contemporary and fantastical. Obviously, fantastical's got it more, but I do like forced proximity where they either have to work together or they have to live together or something like that. Forced proximity in a contemporary setting, if the woman is not an employee, I feel like forced proximity in his boss and secretary or a single dad and nanny is weird. It's a weird thing to do. Like it's not forced proximity. She's working for him. She is an employee. You are now one of my elite employees. Like she's an employee. Like she's working for him. Forced proximity doesn't work for that, because then it's just like, well, no, duh. Everyone in his office is probably forced proximity at that point, you know. But forced proximity, and there's not the correlation of her working for him or something like that, or forced proximity with the combined addition of enemies to lovers, or forced proximity plus like neighbors, something like that. I feel like is way better. Next is instant attraction, but they're shy about their instant attraction. Like they see each other, they meet each other, but they don't go for it. But they're kind of circling around each other. Everyone around them is aware of the fact that they like each other. They're just not aware, or even if they are aware, they don't know if they should go for it because they care about that person so much they don't want to ruin the relationship they have. I'm not a slow burn girly. Like I'm making another video on book tropes I absolutely hate, and slow burn is definitely on that list. But I do like instant attraction slow burn because, again, like repeating like the beta mates, that isn't instant attraction. Like there's this build up, there's this growth that you can see, and it's so cute and it's so good, and I just eat it up every single time. Next on the list is romance, billionaire romance or millionaire romance, where they are both of equal power. Like she comes from a wealthy family, he comes from a wealthy family. She has a high position in her job, he has a high position in his job. I just hate billionaire romance where it's like, yeah, she literally was working on the third floor communication, something, and then he sees her and then he makes her his secretary. I'm like, does that not feel kind of weird to you? Does that not feel gross to you? Like a great misuse of power? I like when she comes from the same background as him and they're able to find commonality in that and to find love of each other from that same background, if that makes sense. Like I just hate poor ex rich. Like those types of tropes make me want to crawl into a ball, because the way it seems, like the way it's built up is like, oh, he's providing all these things for her, he's doing all these things for her, and it's just like, yeah, in a romance setting, but like I'm too self-aware and I'm too pessimistic about the world to read something like that and think that this ends good. I love a proper romance movie, or I don't really like romance movie, but I love a proper romance book or romance comic that ends with them having their happily ever after. And certain tropes, I just can't see that happily ever after happening, so it makes it hard for me to like read it and enjoy it. Next trope I enjoy is romance with a Black female MC that isn't built on the foundations of her trying to cure racism for him or anyone he's around. I love when a Black female MC is loved unconditionally by her male love interest, is supported by him, is uplifted by him. I love when there's a Black female romance story and racism doesn't play a part in it. Like it's just like, it's not like a conversation that's had in the book. Like it's just something, like she's just in this world and she is loved. I just want that, and I enjoy reading stories like that where it's not like, oh, they get together, but his family's racist, or oh, he's a little ignorant and racist, but she cures that for him. I hate books like that. So when reading romance books that have Black female MCs, or even just POC, female and thieves, and it's just a story about them finding and getting love that they deserve. I just love it. These are all the book tropes that I enjoy. Let me know down below in the comments what book tropes you guys enjoy. And if you have any book recs for the tropes I love, let me know. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Insta, TikTok, and here on YouTube. And I hope you guys have a great day.